Hey everyone. Well, it's been a couple weeks since our 3-day carport build, and I've taken some time to think about it, and we've got a plan on what we're going to do to finish this thing up. And technically it's done as it is, but I want to dress it up a little bit. I want to add some lights and things. So what we're going to do is, because of like the slope and the height here between this post and this post, we're going to kind of close it up a little bit, put a couple of boards in there, and then I'm going to be able to put pipes in to act as curtain rods, and those will be the last steps. And then I'm going to build one other thing, is on these ends, these four ends, I'm going to build some lantern posts, and those are essentially just going to be this. I've had this in my mind for a while. I'm going to use the leftover cuts from the beams, and I'm going to make some posts for solar lanterns to go up on the four corners. So that's the plan. Tyrone's out, he's picking up some wood, and then we'll get busy. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We've got one side up. So you'll note from a distance, you'll see that to the left, looks like it's at an angle. Well, that's because the roof is sloping down, and what we're doing is building the sides for where the curtains are gonna hang. So we didn't capture this one because we were figuring it out as we went along. We'll explain how we did this for the other side. All right, you want to talk about how we did that?
Well, first we woke up this morning with a headache after South Africa destroyed New Zealand last night. And so basically we need to drop down to a certain height for the curtains, right? And that's what
Yes.
we're creating. So,
Yeah, and the reason for that is that 84-inch curtains cost $10 a pair, and 96-inch curtains cost $33 for one.
yeah.
So if you want to splurge on curtains, you'd only need the top of those two boards.
Yeah.
But since curtains don't last all that long in Florida.
And I think this is a nice feature too, because two is 2x4s, excuse me, 2x10s, 2x12s, ripped down to a 6-inch difference for the slope of the roof, because we have 6 inches from column to column fall on the roof. So a 2x12 can absorb, even a 2x10 can absorb, and we need 11 inches on one end, 5 inches on the other end, ripped down, and that makes it nice and level. And then we'll continue the sides with a 2x12 straight this side, and a 2x10 2x8 ripped down on the other end.
All right, so let's go to this other side, and we'll talk about first steps. We got to cut these the bumper bolts off on each side. Now this side is lower because the roof slopes down, so the water runs into the yard rather than into the driveway. And so this is the end where the top board is the 12.
Correct.
And then we cut the next one to about 5.5.
Yeah, so it's my bad. This is a 2x10 first.
2x10 goes
Because
across.
the 2x10s are 2x10s. Now, we could have gone with 2x12s and notched them out and spent a bit more time, but you know, you got to offset the price of the wood and labor to do these things besides the price of the curtain, so it's easier just to go with the standard material. So 2x10 at the top, and then a 2x12, 11 inches to 5 inches will give us and then we give it a good height of 94, 96, around there somewhere.
Yep. And then this back board, this is an easy one. That to cover back here, we're just going to do the 5.5.
Yeah, so it'll be a
There.
5. It'll be 5.25. 4 3/4. So it'll be a very small rip because of the fall. So it's slightly smaller here, slightly longer there. 11.25 will work over there. Probably 4 3/4 on this side. I mean, it's not the Taj Mahal, right? But it's the other hole. It's still going to be nice. So, I mean, you know how it goes.
All right, and we're going to use L brackets, steel L brackets as well to help fasten this in. But we're also going to use, we got these boards left over from the job. We're going to cut and use the supports. We're going to put a third one in the middle and then that's for the curtain
Well,
rods.
Once you connect these boards to the side, it's going to add a substantial amount of structure strength. As long as you secure it correctly and properly with nice long screws, and with the L brackets are perfect, because it'll actually stiffen it up. It'll stiffen it up over that distance.
Mm-hmm.
There, 11 and 9.5. So you're 9.5 and 11, almost 20 inches. So 9.5, 11, so 20.5 inches. That's quite a lot of movement, I mean, that's not why we're doing it, but
we're doing it because I'm too cheap to buy longer curtains. That's why we're doing it.
As long as you got a tape measure, level, and the saw, you can do anything you want.
All right, well, let's get this top board in because it's 94 degrees out, and we've already been at it for a couple hours. So
yeah, we'll finish it off. The bolt.
At the edge of the bolt? Yeah. Okay, so we took the measurements, and there's a slight angle we have to cut this at?
It's not really much. You could probably leave it square, but it's so tiny. But the anal person I am, I always want things to be right. I use an angle finder for just about everything. You just hold it up there in the column, find your little angle, which is very tiny, right?
Oh yeah, geez, 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, it's tiny.
That's all we need to do for the top board, right?
That's it. I'm just gonna go put
the braces up.
Put the braces up, get them nice and level. It shouldn't take me about a few minutes.
So the braces are all marked at 4 inches, and that'll tell us what height to put them on. Let's see, an interesting butterfly. Let's just tooling around here. I gotta watch my ceiling. Oh, he's gonna hit the ceiling here.
See, nice and tight. We'll take another measurement while we're here.
Okay, the lower board, as you'll see there, actually goes from the 6x6 beam on both ends, so it's a bit longer than the top board. So we just took the measurements for that. Now we're going to cut it and put that in place. So this chalk line will tell us exactly what to cut on. You tight?
Tight,
Yep.
tight.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
If you were a smoker, you probably couldn't do that.
So there's our line. And that will give us our 5 inches on this end and full 11 all the way over here, which will make the curtain rods level.
That is Bob's your uncle.
Nice cut. Look at that. Right on the line. So we've got a giant vampire steak here
Yeah.
that we don't need.
They make ramps for paraplegics. I'll get a handle for you there. I got it. Beautiful, dude.
Yeah. Next two are easy.
Perfect, look at that. Hop on the bus, Chris. Triple on the key. Don't need to stress much. The aliens have arrived. They call tack, baby. I haven't covered that actually. Yeah, there you go. Why don't you go ahead, put a couple of screws right there, like yeah. Yeah, I can actually put your longer ones. Like that, baby. Funky. So that's a 5. So we'll have to rip this one down to a 5. You want to do these couple? Yeah, I've got a couple screws with you.
I got one.
Well, somebody knows how to do meth around here. Sorry, meth.
Hey everyone, well, I'm back at it, It's again about 94 degrees today, and I'm going to paint all the work we did yesterday. But before that, I'm going to use some caulking to kind of go around and seal these edges, especially on the outside. I'm not so worried about it on the inside, water getting in, but I do want to, you know, kind of seal it up. I only have a couple of tubes, which I'm hoping is enough, but there's some pretty big gaps around. So if any of you wonder how you do this, well, you need some caulking. This stuff's pretty good since we're going to be painting later today. You need a caulking gun, which is a pretty simple and inexpensive tool. You need some water and a sponge. And that's it. So let's get busy. Okay, real simple. This is for anyone who's never done anything like this. This is how you load the caulking gun. That's it. It's in. Then you can use a knife or whatever. Just cut the end up, preferably at an angle. Makes it a little bit easier like that. And then that's it. Then you just pull the trigger a little bit, and it's ready to go. All right, I just wasted some. Nope. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna hit, and I won't show you all of this because it's a lot of nonsense, but we're gonna take care of this corner. Nope, I got a damp sponge right here. All I gotta do, and some people will just smooth it with their finger, which works. You just seal the seam. Sometimes you may have to go over it twice. It's a big gap especially, and same here. And this is a big gap up here. As you go across, you just kind of squeeze the trigger. And all right, and it's a good practice when you're done with that to unlock the trigger, simply because it's going to keep shooting out caulking. And you can use the spare, just use your finger. If you got like loose knots in the wood that might need a little bit of filling, I just put it in there and seal the cracks, because you're going to have some discharge after. All right, and then you just take the sponge and just run down. You see that? This is it. All these people would say, "Oh, I gotta do this." There you go. That's several feet of it sealed. Looks like we may need a little more there. That was pretty deep. Want the sponge dripping, especially interior wise, because if you do that, what's going to happen is the water's going to run down your walls, and nobody wants that. All right, so that's how you do it. I'm going to move on and do the rest of it, and then we'll pick up and get some painting done. Okay, this is the last tube. I've been able to go around the outside. And a couple of other pointers I'm going to add. So you cut these things at an angle, right? Well, once you start caulking, it gets very difficult to tell where that angle is pointed. So one of the things I like to do is actually just wrap a piece of painter's tape around the caulking gun, so I always know where it is. Another tip is, of course, periodically re-soak your sponge. And we'll get the last few bits. This is exterior, so I'm a little less careful. That is a deep gap there. I'm gonna take a lot of caulking. But I got enough for the exterior of today anyway. I'm also putting a little bit on the screws just to cover them up. Alright, one more spot, and then we just let it sit for a bit, and then we paint. I should point out that this is actually latex caulk, and even though it's exterior, it dries. It's fine. It's for doors and windows, so it's fine. But the reason why you always want to use latex is for cleanup. The oil-based is just a nightmare for cleanup, whereas here I just gotta really rinse my hands out and I'm all set. Alright, so once I go to do the finish coat of paint, I'll be doing more. I'll be caulking up the inside. I just don't have enough caulking here to do the whole thing right now. So, one thing I would tell you is there's still more than half a tube left here, and everything is quite expensive. So what I do with this tape, and probably this is another thing that everybody knows, but what I do with the tape is I take it and I make a cap. And it won't preserve it forever, but you'd be surprised. You get a few weeks out of it easy. All right, time to let everything sit and then on to painting. All right, it's been about 45 minutes or so. It's 93 out right now, pretty dry, so I think that caulking's ready. So now comes the fun part. We're gonna paint, and if anyone's curious, I will not be using that airless sprayer. I'm simply gonna use a roller and a brush, and I think it'll probably go a lot quicker. Certainly cleanup will go quicker, so let's get busy on this one. Probably seen enough. I'm gonna continue. All right, everything's rolled. Took, an hour or so. It's certainly still hot out. Next, I'm gonna do the areas where I couldn't get the roller, which you can see corners and things like that, and in between here. And so what you use for that traditionally is what's called an edging brush. And see the edge? See how it's at an angle? Now that helps when you paint. It helps you to tuck your paint in. So I do have enough paint. I went through about a gallon doing this, but you can see that caulking makes a big difference in the seams. kind of cleans it up, whereas you can see here I did not caulk in the seams, but on the other side I did, and you see it's pretty smooth. I just didn't have enough caulking to do all the inside, so hey, we'll hit it with the edging brush and see how much we can get it to disappear. All right, so next step, edging, and then painting is done. So I'm thinking about another hour I'll be done with this job. Next step. All right, so let's do an example of what you do with the brush. And I expect most people can figure this out. But you see how it just gets in all the corners? Don't worry, I've got a tarp underneath. I know I'm going a little thick here because I want to get this done. But with the edging brush, sorry if I missed that. Hard to look at what you're doing and look at what the camera's seeing. Okay, another example of edging. You see, right up in there. I can't get in there, obviously, with the roller. So, just go up there with the brush and hopefully without dripping paint all over the place. A little bit in that side too. A little under there. And that's all we gotta do. No, that's all we gotta do, but it's all we gotta do. We gotta do it a lot. All right, I'll be back. Same in here. We gotta get inside. Anywhere where you couldn't get the roller. There's that sun. Brutal. It is hot today. All right, I'll be back. All right. Painting is done. Edging is done. For the most part. I mean, this is all still the first coat. I plan on putting a second coat on it. But it's 4 o'clock. The rain is on its way in. I'm pretty hot, been hot all day. And so I'm gonna go in, take it easy and cool off. And that's it for the day. I wanted to do the lanterns today, but it's gonna have to wait. Probably till next weekend, which is fine. There's no rush. I'd rather take my time and get them in correctly because they are probably gonna require some jury rigging to get in. But anyway, I'll be back.